Hey guys, it's Simon here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're going to be doing our TBR video for the month of August. And I wanted to come back to the sports theme that we did earlier in the year because I don't feel like I really did good enough with that one in, was it April, I think, that I did it? And so I wanted to come back to it and do it again, right? And I also wanted to expand that kind of theme a little bit to include stuff like game shows or video games or things like that. Mostly just so I could read one series and call it part of the theme. But it doesn't really matter. Broadly speaking, I'm focusing on sports competition type things, right? And yeah, I do have some other stuff that isn't really related to that theme that I want to read this month. And I also am not gonna try to hold myself so harshly to this theme as I normally would. I think I'm gonna let myself be more open. If I end up deciding not to read some of these sports books, it's fine. I'll read them next year or whenever. So let's talk about leftovers from last month that I want to read first, and then we'll move on to novels that I'm reading, comic books that I'm reading, and manga and light novels that I'm reading, right? So in terms of leftovers, I have to finish ElfQuest Complete Volume 1. I really enjoyed the first 5 issues, which are the first major storyline called Fire and Flight. It was amazing. It was so cool. I did a whole review for it. I really, really loved it. And so I want to continue reading that first book, right? I bought these digitally from Humble Bundle, and I liked it enough that I think I might want to chase the physical editions because I really, really love this series, and I want to at least have the original quest, which is the first 20 issues, which is the complete volume 1, right? So we'll see. Maybe I'll get that next time that they have a sale at one of my local comic book stores, right? So yeah, that's the first kind of major thing that I have left over from last month that I want to review. The second one is Marry a Billionaire. So I had mentioned that I wanted to read this a while back when I finished collecting it, and then I just haven't had the opportunity to do so, right? So I wanted to take the time now that I reread the first volume to start looking at it properly, right? And this is a really raunchy, ridiculous series. I honestly don't know if I'm going to review it on the channel, but I at least want to read it and talk about it on these, TBR, check-in, and wrap-up videos, right? So yeah, this is a really crazy series. It's basically like The Bachelor, but what if there was actual adult content to it? It's pretty funny. My sister lives with me now, and she was watching The Bachelorette with her old roommate with her friend. They were FaceTiming while they were watching the show at the same time, which is I thought was crazy, but whatever. They were having a fun time. And this past week, the major thing that they were doing was that the guys were putting on a strip show for the female bachelorette, the Bachelorette, and I thought that was crazy. I did not expect it to happen. I thought it was hilarious that it did because the guys were really funny looking. They were just they're really into it, which is really funny. At least from the clip that I saw. And I also thought that it was crazy because there's no way that they would do the equivalent of that, right, in the actual Bachelor, right? So I thought that was crazy, but it was pretty funny. It reminded me of the series. So I was like, okay, well, if they can put it on TV, maybe I can put it on my YouTube channel. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, the series is really cool. It's really interesting. I like it. There's a lot of interpersonal drama. It really does have that reality TV vibe to it, which is awesome. Because it's such a crazy kind of thing, right? I don't like watching reality TV, but I can't help myself when it's on, right? I kind of end up enjoying myself watching it, even though I know that I shouldn't because it's freaking garbage, right? And I feel the same way with this, but I'm also more interested in it because there's a little bit more, the fact that this is not real people helps me, divide myself from it a bit more. Remove myself from it a bit more, and that makes it a little bit more enjoyable because I don't have that ill factor to it that I would if I watched normal reality TV, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool. In terms of stuff that I want to read for the channel that are books, yesterday I was just kind of messing around with my Kindle that my dad gave me a few months ago, and I remembered that it's been a while since I read the series that I really, really love, and it's one of my dad's favorite series as well, and it's called Odyssey 1. And I started reading, the first chapter of the first book again. I was like, well, let's just, waste a little bit of time here. Just kind of take it easy, read a chapter. And then bam, before I knew it, I was 21 chapters in. I was 40% through the book. And I absolutely love that series. It's so great. So I think I'll finish reading the first book. If, you know, I can stop myself, I will stop at the end of the first book and then move on to other stuff and come back to it later, maybe in September, right? Because I do Sci-Fi September. But if I can't help myself, I'll probably end up reading the second book as well. So we'll see. So I'll finish reading Odyssey 1. I think the first book is called Into the Black, and it's a great book. I really, really recommend you guys read it if you like military fiction, if you like Humans Are Space Orcs posts, if you like, you know, First Contact stories. I think it's amazing. I also wanted to read the rest of book 5 of The Wandering Inn. It's been a few months since I went back to reading it, and the tab has been open on my computer the whole time, and it like looks at me every time. I know it wants me to read it. I know I want to read it, and I've just been holding myself back, and I think it's time to let go and finally finish that book, right? So yeah, book 5 is called The Last Light, I think. I'm right up to the point before that name probably becomes relevant. So I'm very excited to see where that goes. And I was gonna reread it again, and then I realized, no, I've already reread this first half of the book like more than once, right? I think at this point I've read that portion of the book twice, which is crazy because it's the portion of the book that I've read the most. Even though it's not really like my favorite part. So we'll see. But I do want to finish reading the book and move on to more new, Wandering Inn stuff. And finally, for the Sword and Sorcery Book Club, I want to read this little story here that's separated by those two blue tabs there, and that would be Sword Woman, which is the story that introduces us to Dark Agnes. And I want to do this for the Sword and Sorcery Book Club because I'm doing this reading challenge there where we look at all of the stuff, all of the stories that relate to characters, or like all of the first publications of a story that relate to a character that's supposed to come out in the Battle of the Blackstone Conan comic book event, because I want to know these characters to an extent before we get onto the event, right? So yeah, I want to read that. It's not that many pages. I think it's like 40 pages or something, which seems like a lot, but it's really not. Let's see. It might be less actually. 331 to 365. So it's not even, it's like 30 pages. So it should be a pretty quick read. And I'm looking forward to it, right? So that's it for novels. In terms of comic books, I don't really have any plans specifically, except for Serpent War. And again, it's for the same reasons here. I want to read this because it's Jim Zub's first attempt at a Conan-centric event where it has, Conan and Solomon Kane and Dark Agnes there. So I want to read this, for 2 weeks from now after I read Sword Woman. So I know who these characters all are, right? And this is pretty easy to read. It's only 4 issues. And it's Jim Zub's first attempt at a Conan event like this. So I want to see, how he did and compare it to his new work, right? So yeah, I think that'll be cool. So I don't have anything else in terms of comic books besides that and ElfQuest. I guess that's it. I guess I do want to read the Flintstones comic book that I have, but I don't know when I'll read that, so we'll see. Okay, and so finally for manga, I have a few things that I want to read here. So I bought this book a long time ago, The God of High School. I already read the portion of the story that's in this, but I wanted to check out the series. And it's actually kind of a shame because I think this book is very high quality, very nice, but it's too tight on the binding. And this is the only book from the Unscrolled, Webtoons Unscrolled initiative that they made in this size. And that's really annoying because this is the only book that I think really deserve that oversized portion or sizing or whatever you want to call it. Proportion, I think is the right word that I was looking for. Because look at this. This stuff is awesome. It looks great. But it's a shame that it's so small. And also, I don't like the pricing on these. These are $19, and I think the new ones are $21. So that's crazy. That's so much money. So yeah, I just want to see how it is. Like, does the reading compare physically compared to the digital edition or not? And then we have the box here by JH. I love the series. I think it's super cool, but it's been a while since I read any of the books in this, right? So I want to continue on and see if I really want to continue reading it from there, and decide, if I want to keep collecting it or not. Then we have Initial D. If you guys follow the channel, you know that I reviewed a digital version of this that I got on Bookwalker, and it was garbage. It was so bad. The translation was horrible. The scans were really crappy. Like it was really bad. And I think it was because it was directly copied from the Tokyo Pop releases. This is a new updated release. It's much better done. It has a new translation. It's supposed to be a much better version of the product, and I hope that that's true because I really want to like this. I'm not much of a card guy, but I know how influential and special the series is to so many people, and I want to be one of those people that thinks it's special and cool and interesting. And first impressions wise, it was pretty garbage because I picked a bad edition to read, right? So I want to give it a second try with this large edition, and hopefully I like it, right? Also, I just really love how these look. I know that they're all different colors and that annoyed some people, but I actually really like, that this one is this weird orange color, and then there's a blue one, and then there's a green one, and I think there's gonna be a yellow one after that. And I think it looks weird, but it also is really fun because I like those colorful spines. I like that way more than I like, blank white spines, even though the plain white spines are much cleaner, right? I think the color adds something special to them. Then I wanna read a Blue Lock. I want to reread volume 11, which I have somewhere over there. And I want to finish reading volume 12 and volume 13. And this should be another arc that I can review. So I should be able to have a new Blue Lock review on the channel here. And from there, I guess we'll see, because I think they're ramping up the release schedule for Blue Lock, but I can't remember if that's true or not. I know that digitally we're at 27 volumes, but physically we're only at 13. So we're like halfway caught up to the digital edition, but I think the Japanese edition is like on like 30, right? Something like that. So we're pretty far behind, and I want to get caught up. So we'll see if that happens or not. And finally, I want to finish off the month with something pretty cool here. So I really enjoyed this when I read this initially, and I want to go back to it and read more of it. So I wanted to look at Slam Dunk, volumes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And I actually really like this cover. I don't know why. It looks really cool. I don't know who this character is or anything, but I just like the pose on that one. Number 6. And finally, number 7 as well, which is kind of a boring cover because I'm sure this doctor character is important, or like maybe he's not a doctor, maybe he's just a guy with a white suit. But compared to the cool action shots of basketball players, it looks really lame, right? So yeah, the thing is, I don't know how I'm gonna review this on the channel because everywhere I've looked, Slam Dunk doesn't seem to have arcs the same way that most manga do. And so I think I'm just gonna have to do it like Adam, where I find like a break in the narrative and then, review up to that point and then start with a new one, right? I don't know if that's good or not. Maybe I'll just do every couple volumes. I don't know. Maybe I'll just do these first 7 and then move on to the next 7 after that. I think there's 21 total volumes, right? So that shouldn't be bad. I could do 3 sets of 7. Or I don't know. If you guys have any ideas, let me know down below. Thank you guys very much for watching. And yeah, that's really all there is to say. So yeah, see you guys later.